Over the past couple of years, I've shared a lot of fun facts with you about Tears of the Kingdom. Some of them genuinely surprised most people, and some of them made me feel like I was the only one that wasn't invited to the knowledge party. Today we're focusing on the first group, the group of fun facts and tidbits that most people don't seem to know, along with some new information courtesy of you guys in the comments. Here are the top 10 based on how viral they went on my channel. Starting out at number 10, we have Korok poop. In Breath of the Wild, you get this 3-layered golden poop as a reward for collecting all 900 Korok seeds, and in Tears of the Kingdom, they've upgraded you to a 4-layered golden poop for collecting 1000 Korok seeds. When I shared this, I thought that the math didn't add up, but someone in the comments proved that it actually does, since each layer is smaller than the one before it. So the widest layer at the bottom could be 400 Korok seeds, followed by 300 for the second layer and 200 for the top layer, giving you 900 total Korok seeds. Then totk adds one more smaller layer to the top, which could be formed with just 100 Korok seeds, correctly equaling 1000. So Nintendo did do their math. Maybe. Let's be real, it's Nintendo, they probably just slapped on another layer because they didn't want to think about it too hard. Moving on to number 9, we have the Guardian remnants that exist within the code of Tears of the Kingdom. As we all know, Nintendo decided to wipe almost all Sheikah technology from existence in totk, except for a couple small things like this decayed Guardian on top of the Hateno Tech Lab. But there's actually still a couple things left over from the Guardians that exist within totk's code, like the terror reactions from NPCs. These terror reactions are the little dialogue bubbles that pop up when an NPC is scared of something around them, and rather than creating new terror reactions for Gloomhands, Nintendo just used the pre-existing reactions to Guardians from Breath of the Wild. So these NPCs are technically reacting to Guardians when they see Gloomhands. That's just smart game design. Also, a full texture for an active Guardian still exists in the code. Not a decayed Guardian like the one on top of the Tech Lab, but an actual functioning Guardian. Which brings me to my biggest takeaway from the comments. Most of us would have loved to see a gloom-infected Guardian hidden somewhere in the depths to give us a challenging mini-boss fight. Real missed opportunity on that one, Nintendo. And coming in at number 8, we have the utter lack of self-preservation found in Stalnox. Most players defeat the Stalnox before they can see his full moveset, but if you're patient enough, you'll see the Stalnox break off his own ribs to throw at you until he's out of ribs, at which point he'll rip off his mandible and finally his left arm. The skeletal Cyclops is filled with so much rage that he will willingly cripple himself in an attempt to kill you. That's pretty metal. Also, once he rips his arm off, he can no longer cover his eye to block your arrows. I guess his right arm just doesn't bend that way. I literally just learned this right now as I'm writing this script. That's so cool. Also, if you're enjoying the video, you should consider hitting that subscribe button. It really helps out the channel. Anyway, number 7 is a bit of a weird one, as we're getting more into some game design stuff. Data miners found that there's actually 2 separate actors that represent Link in the code. One is called Player, which is the version of Link that you control when playing, and then there's Pouch Player, which we can assume is the version of Link that you see in the inventory screen. Meaning there are actually 2 separate Link actors on screen at the same time when you pause the game. Also, when you open a chest or cook a meal, the normal player actor is quickly deleted and replaced with a different actor that has the chest opening and cooking animations, most likely Pouch Player. Also, the mural background on the main menu is an actual 3D space, and the player actor version of Link is invisible in the middle of the mural room. Using a free cam in the main menu, you can actually see Link for a brief moment before he turns invisible. For this fun fact, the additional information from the comments comes in the form of a wall of text, so pause if you want to read this technical explanation. And next up at number 6, we have one of my favorite fun facts about Tears of the Kingdom. When you're fighting Marbled Gohma, you can actually steal the rocks he launches at you. The one you want is the very large one in phase 2 of the fight, where he surrounds you with a ring of rocks. Just Ultra Hand glue any random item to one of these rocks and it'll show up in your auto build menu. What makes this rock special is that it slams down to the ground very quickly when built, and after a short time, it explodes. This can be fun to use in combat by gluing spikes to the bottom of the rock and crushing enemies with it to kill them in one hit. And the explosion damages them too. You can even use the rock to defeat Ganondorf. It's awesome. The comment contribution is that the Gohma rock isn't actually that heavy, it's just programmed to fall really fast. Speeding up a little bit here at number 5, we have the weird Lizalfos tail change. In Breath of the Wild, each Lizalfos tail had a different color for the inner flesh, so that way the elemental tails would be more visually distinct. But for some reason in Tears of the Kingdom, they got rid of that and made every tail have the same inner color as the regular Lizalfos tail. You might think this has something to do with the fuse system, but actually the developers just thought it would be funny if they replaced all Lizalfos blood with orange juice. Moving on to number 4, we have one of the coolest examples of great attention to detail on Nintendo's part that is sadly kind of hard to notice. When you first reach the Stormwind Arc, you can actually see Colgera through these holes in the center of the ship, just swirling around waiting to be released. The poor thing is all cramped up in there next to the secret stone encased in ice. The only other boss that's visible before the boss fight is Marbled Gohma, who is blocking the hole containing the secret stone at the top of the arena. The comment contribution for this one is mostly just funny names for Colgera, like Colgate, Columbia, and my personal favorite, Costco, the Scourge of the Wind Temple. We have now finally made it into the top 3, and coming in hot at number 3, we have the idle animation changes. In both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, Link will do these 2 standing idle animations and this crouched idle animation. But if you take his shirt off, he'll flex his arms in Batwa, but in totk, he instead inspects his new Zonai arm. I'm sorry I said Batwa and totk. My boy Sean here said he doesn't need to be shirtless to do the arm inspection animation, so I tested that with a couple different pieces of armor and found that he just repeats the 2 standard standing idle animations and never inspects his arm. So the additional information here is that Sean is a liar and should not be trusted. Coming in at number 2, we have the old Boomerang orbit trick. This is kind of just a mechanic exploit, but if you throw a boomerang straight up into the air and then walk forward and to the left a bit, the boomerang will start orbiting around you. For some extra destructive flair, you can attach something like a flame emitter to it and sow chaos in a bokoblin camp. It's not very efficient, but it is very fun. There isn't really a comment contribution for this one, it was mostly just people arguing that this is an intended feature that the game does absolutely nothing to teach you about. We've finally made it all the way to number 1. Are you having fun? I'm having fun. Number 1 is all about this unique fuse item, the Ruins Rebel block that can be found at the bottom of the Rising Island chain under the Wind Temple. If you fuse this block to a shield and then drop the shield, you can actually crouch and walk inside of it. This will protect you from specific ranged attacks like Gleeok beams and the rocks that bokoblins throw at you, and it doesn't deal any durability damage to your shield. We're back to the comment section actually adding some new information, mostly just that this works with most large fusible objects like the falling rebel underneath Hyrule Castle and this float found in this shrine. The float is my favorite because it's silly, and I like silly things. Alright, well that's all I have for you today. If you enjoy these types of videos, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.